All right, welcome everybody to Rocket Lab Weekly episode 118. Hopefully we are live. Could you guys in the comments confirm that you can hear and see us, because the view counter it just started moving, but it was on 0. Cool. So how's everyone doing? And how was your guys' week?
It's a good week. It's pretty productive. I got around to putting out a Redwire video yesterday, so I'm feeling good about the video, feeling good about kind of Redwire as a whole, really. And then, portfolio's looking good, and EOS is teasing some sort of presentation that's happening in a few days, and I'm not sure what that leads to, but I'm pretty sure it's some sort of military base energy solution or something. I'm not quite sure. They're doing like these cryptic messages, and I'm pretty sure it's something of that nature. So an exciting week to look forward to. How are you guys doing?
Nice.
Good for me. Yeah, all-time highs in the portfolio. Just getting ready for next week's buys. As always, on the 15th. Always looking for another purchase price of all my key stocks that I like to buy. So it'll be interesting. There's a few that have gotten a little bit higher in price that I don't necessarily know if I want to buy up here, but so I might be doing something adjusting. There he is, the myth, the legend.
Hey, Dave.
Hello, Dave. Cool that you could make it.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time since you had your baby, so congratulations are in order.
Thanks. Yeah.
Is there like a congratulation emoji or something we can know? I don't know how this works. But yeah, how is it?
Pretty good overall, tiring and getting up in the night and all that stuff. Didn't really know for sure what to expect because it was my first one. So still kind of getting used to it. Feels a little weird because I've been off work for about a month, and sometimes I just like don't leave the house for like 2 days while we're like changing diapers and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I just go a little stir crazy. I need to get out or something.
How's the wife doing?
She's pretty good. Yeah. Still recovering a bit and stuff like that, but overall pretty good.
Nice. Good to hear.
Awesome. And the birth went all good.
Sounds would be as good as it could have been.
I mean, it was a little scary for like, I don't know how much detail I should go into, but it was kind of stressful. Oh, it looks like I'm not streaming here, so I might as well see if I can do that.
Okay. But glad it went okay in the end.
Just like that. No, I'm just kidding.
The topic was uncomfortable. He's like, okay.
Yeah. There we go. Cool.
Okay, cool. Cool. And what is the name of your daughter, or is it public or no?
Am I saying? I think we're. Yeah, you know what? I think we're kind of not really saying.
Good. No worries.
Just the internet being the internet. I can tell you guys offline if you want, but
okay. No problem.
Congrats, my man. Congrats. It's awesome.
Congratulations. Yeah. Cool. So let's start with the news for this week, and we are going to start with some updates from this is, I believe, from Newark, New Zealand, where they are getting back to work after the New Year's, and they have set up 2 masts that you can see here, which is probably for telemetry testing, and we still have our stage 1, section 1. I don't know how we name these things, but we are moving in New Zealand. And I had an update also from the Hungry Hippo, but it disappeared. But I think the Hungry Hippo is crossing the Panama Canal.
Yeah, I saw a few pictures of it going through the canal, so done waiting, I think.
Yeah,
I think they updated the boat trajectory to basically to, I think it was Delaware or somewhere, some port on the eastern coast. Might have been Maryland, I forget. Might have been Baltimore. I think that's what it was. Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah.
Cool. I just saw an AI image with like someone hyperimposed like a hippopotamus on a ship, like in the Panama Canal, and gave me a very good laugh. The other thing that gave me a very good laugh was your thumbnail picture for today, Matt. I don't know if you're able to show it. it's,
Yeah, let me see.
it's really we
Just
should
had
have
it up.
maybe a meme section, like this week's best Rocket Lab meme. And
I put it on Twitter. That's what it was. On our
The
chat.
AI videos and images are getting out of hand already. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in like a year.
yeah, I tried to do my thumbnail with AI and then I ran out of time. So like on my thumbnail, Sir Peter Beck has like 3 hands and Pete Hegseth looks like Joe Biden. But yeah, I was like, I have to put it out and start the show. I don't have more time to mess around with. What
Yeah.
did you use, Matt, to create yours?
Gemini.
Nano Banana, right? That's there.
Yeah, so I shared it if you want
to. Yeah, here we go, guys. So the best Rocket Lab meme. Give me a good laugh. So
Pete doesn't look exactly like Pete, but
Yeah.
well, Sir Peter Beck, but I tried getting it a little bit better and it wouldn't. But and that it's not exactly a neutron, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. And I think in real life you're taller than Sir Peter Beck, no?
Yeah, and I tried messing with that as well, but like I asked it to make me a little bit bigger, and it made me an absolute giant. So I was like a couple feet taller, and I was like, yeah, no. I was like, I'll give both Pete's the benefit. They're probably a little. I think we're probably on par actually, but yeah, I'll give it to him. It doesn't matter to me. The image was what was more important. The other one was like 3 feet taller, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely not realistic. So this was as most realistic as I could get it.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, we never know, You advised the White House on awarding the contract to Rocket Lab, and then the Venezuela oil situation, and now you're helping Pete Hegseth and Sir Peter Beck out, So you're just connecting.
Trying my best, and CNBC or Bloomberg still won't have me on, so I don't know what to do. I'm trying.
Cool. So we go to the next one. Let me see. We can take this one. So little news from the Escapade. They are still alive. They have done their longest burn yet, which is 97.7 seconds. And they have left the Earth-Sun Lagrange 2 point into a month-long deep space cruise that will get them to Mars. No, I made it disappear. Anyways, so yeah, I guess that just shows that the Escapade mission is alive and well, and as opposed to other Rocket Lab missions where we just launch things and then we're like, yeah, 100% mission success. This is very like continuing for months and months and months, and I guess every milestone that they complete and that shows that they're still doing good helps them with getting similar and future contracts. I don't know if there's any other comments about the Escapade, if you guys want to say something.
I'm just, glad it seems like it's going smoothly. I know it's a complicated mission with that capstone one to the moon. I think they did run into some issues and they kind of had to combine 2 burns into one in order to make it work. And it ended up being successful, but it doesn't seem like there's any issues so far on Escapade. So that's good to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think this was probably as far as I understood from the mission, this was probably one of the trickiest burns, because now it's like, now they're on a trajectory to Mars, and then now they just need to stop when they arrive. But there was a lot of, how do you call it? Like, it's not easy to arrive to Lagrange point 2. There was a lot of burns for that. And then, yeah, so I think it should be downhill from here.
I don't think it's the one to Mars though quite yet. I think this one is just to get a little bit more like into like this code. I think it's the Lagrange point is the term for it. I think the actual like Mars injection is
but I think it left the Lagrange point now with this. sending the gold past the Earth-Sun Lagrange point into the months-long deep.
Yeah,
I'll
I
have to listen
thought
to that
maybe that's
interview
just a
again.
little weird wording. I thought it was going to sit at a Lagrange point for quite a while, like Scott. When I was looking into it, it was kind of ironic, right? Because it was like they were kind of launching it just for the purpose of sitting it in this Lagrange point to make sure, like, you know, it doesn't get canceled if it's not launched, but it doesn't really arrive that much sooner, is my understanding, than if they had waited to launch to like a later window. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, I mean, we can check more into this because it's true actually that's also what I remember, and that it should sit at the Lagrange point too. But yeah,
I'm just looking at the difference between the Psyche mission, which isn't entirely Rocket Lab satellite, but also very helpful in terms of, I'm always just looking like what's next, right? The Venus mission in my mind is, you know, one of the cooler missions that we'll be able to do. So going to Mars, and then obviously with Escapade is obviously a big piece, but then you had the Psyche mission, which was a collaboration between SpaceX, NASA, and Rocket Lab as well. And I'm just looking at like what's more difficult, and they are completely disparate, sort of, obviously, because one's go to Jupiter, one's go to Mars. But the propulsion system, everything seems like it's all very different. So it's just interesting to note. I was like, which one's difficult? What more difficult? And it looks like they both are difficult for their own sort of circumstance. So I'll do some more research, and maybe I'll have something to discuss next week.
All right. Okay, so we go to the next one. Sir Peter Beck wrote an article for spacenews.com about how he thinks interplanetary science missions need to be conducted. I don't know if you guys saw this article. Obviously, he has a horse in this race. But it's also, you know, like when you objectively look at it, it's very true what he's saying, that instead of having billion-dollar projects with, you know, a decade-long timelines, you can have $100 million projects that is done in a few years. And even if some of them fail, then the rest of the missions give so much excess good to the science community that it's just worth doing it that way. I don't know if you guys saw the article, and if you agree with what Sir Peter Beck is saying, or you have a different viewpoint.
Well, I definitely think just based off the All In podcast that Jared Isaacman had done, he kind of had a very similar mindset where you can't be doing all these multi-billion-dollar projects. An example I just talked about, one, the Psyche mission was $1 billion project, and you know, the Escapade mission might be less than 100 million. So you think about it, you'll be able to do 10 times as many missions. Yes, they're disparate objectives, etc. But if you think about it, I'd much rather go with 10 $100 million projects that might have an 80, 70, 80% chance of success than one that has an 98%, but you're spending 10 times as much, right? In my opinion, you'll be able to get 2 to 3 times as many satellites likely to do whatever objective you want, and you're pushing the edges of innovation and limits of what you can do in space. So wholly agree and excited, because I think that obviously leans more on the commercial side than the traditional bureaucratic method that we've used utilizing NASA and things in the past. Although they are the ones that are helping enabling a lot of these things, I think you need a good partnership between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm really curious about is, for example, I don't know if you guys have been following the James Webb telescope. That one was supposed to be $1 billion. It ended up becoming $10 billion, and it was supposed to, I think, first launch in like the 1990s, and then it was like almost 20 years delayed. But the interesting thing with that is that there was requirements from the science community that we need to be able to see you know, a certain infrared light that is super hard to detect, and then they had to like develop technologies to do that, and I'm sure it was done on a cost plus contract.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm wondering if that is sort of a field where like science needs something, and it's very hard to, you know, get a commercial bid from someone because it's a brand new technology that somebody dares to say like, okay, I'm going to do this for 1 billion. Because if the budget overruns to 10 billion, then you're toast as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these missions like Escapade or other spacecrafts are actually definitely should be fixed price. But yeah, something like a James Webb might still have to be cost plus, as much as I'd hate to say it, because it just seems like the taxpayer never gets the best bang for their buck that way. But as Peter's saying, like a lot of these missions, I do think fixed price is the way to go.
Okay, cool. So now let's go to a super interesting piece of news that Rocket Lab tweeted about today, but I do believe this happened on Friday already. And that is that Rocket Lab got a visit by Peter Hegseth, who is the leader of the Department of War. And this was part of his tour that I forgot the name now, something like National Arsenal Tour. And it's very interesting that he started the tour with Rocket Lab, and he held a speech, which I didn't think I need to watch, but then I was like, okay, just before Rocket Lab Weekly, I just want to watch the speech. And it really blew my mind. I want to show one section of the speech. I really hope it didn't disappear on me. Oh, shit. It disappeared on me, the speech. Okay, let me see if I can find it. And maybe you guys, have you seen this speech, and what did you guys think about it?
I didn't get the chance. I was meaning to watch it because I saw a link to it, but a few people said they thought it sounded pretty bullish for Rocket Lab, especially the last few minutes of it, but I didn't actually hear it myself.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm gonna find it and show you guys the last 1 minute.
Was there much like Rocket Lab specific stuff in there, or is it just kind of general?
Both. Yeah. Okay, let me see. You guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now the usual sound.
Skills.
Is there sound?
Leader in this country. I've said it a little bit already, but it's worth emphasizing. The days of rewarding the comfortable old guard for failure are finished. We will provide larger, longer, and more predictable contracts to companies like this one, companies that can actually deliver at pace and at scale. We will reward leaders who choose to invest in their workers, who expand their capacity, and who share our sense of urgency. We will reward those who choose to deploy their resources toward bolstering production, not stock buyback programs or dividends. The mission is quite simple. If you deliver for America, the government's going to have your back. If you don't, you should get in a different business. We are deadly serious about the arsenal of freedom. I hope you saw our acquisitions and requirements transformation speech from a couple of months.
That was the part that I wanted to show. So he specifically name calls Rocket Lab, and he said we will award bigger and more secure contracts to companies just like this one. And he emphasizes in the speech a lot of times that the old way of doing business is done. We're not going to buy from legacy things because we have been buying from there for 20 plus years, and that's the comfortable way of doing it. We're going to just go after who is there to deliver, who gives us the best budget. And he's touring a Rocket Lab facility, and in the whole speech he was super impressed with them.
Sounds good. I kind of thought there'd be, you always get into politics and like donations and stuff like that. I thought there'd be maybe more leniency towards some of the old school space primes, but it sounds like he kind of went at them pretty hard.
Yeah, that's also what was so surprising to me, that he made it very clear that the field is wide open. Like it's based on merit who's going to win contracts.
I do got to point out, because I think there's like one energy coming from this group, and I mean like the greater collective Rocket Lab community. But I do got to point out, like, it is interesting for a company that prides itself on like no weapons whatsoever to be being toured by the Secretary of the Department of War. And I'm kind of like, and I'll call myself a hypocrite before I continue, because it's like I'm invested in Redwire, I've invested in Black Sky and Planet Labs, and like sure, there's like a good use for those kind of companies. I'll lump Palantir into that as well. But it's like, I don't know, maybe I'll just turn it to you guys. Like, what do you think about this? Like, what kind of contracts come from the Department of War? Like, what are we expecting going forward? Is Rocket Lab going to pivot into weapons, or like, you know, often the term defense is very blurry, especially now. You know,
I completely understand this concern, but if you listen to the speech, like he actually said that it doesn't matter how much money they spend on ships or whatever, they are blind without companies like Rocket Lab, you know.
Mhm.
And he said that the stuff that happened in Venezuela was made possible by companies like Rocket Lab, and I'm very sure that he means like space and Earth observation and spy satellites, and I don't think that he means like offensive. It's more like space has like become part of today's. I mean, like that's where I guess it gets blurred, because like yes, like the Rocket Lab satellite data is not used for offense, but it is part of an offensive mission, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of questioning. You know, if a satellite is used to guide a missile,
Yeah,
exactly.
the
Yeah.
impact is still the same.
Exactly.
But
Because I think the same argument could be made. It's just like, oh, you know, like the whole Rocket Lab launching Black Sky satellites who are looking down and helping what's ultimately happened in Gaza. And it's like, I think it's like that old comparison of like, you know, Nazi Germany, where it's like, oh, I didn't turn on the gas chamber, I just put them in there. But then the other guy is just like, oh, I didn't put them in there, I only turned on the gas chamber. And it's like, well, like put two and two together, guys, and maybe we're not so innocent, you know.
I don't know. I can live with
it's
this
a little far
Rocket
from
Lab.
that. But
Yeah, like I can live with the Rocket Lab way, because I feel that currently, unfortunately, the military is a necessary evil to space. Like there would not be yeah, they are not producing missiles with warheads, and that would spook me out, you know. But
I wonder too, though, like, as
I mean, Golden Dome is defense, right? Like, is it?
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
But even still, just that term defense, it's like I don't know, it's such a gray zone. Like, what is defense? Because again, the Gaza example, like you look at that and it's like 80% of buildings are just gone, and it's like, is that IDF, the D standing for defense? I'm like, at what point is that no longer being called defense? You know, I don't know. And at the same time too, I've mentioned in the past, it's like the more haste rockets are launched, like how many conversations or how many handshakes need to happen before suddenly it's like, oh, it's not an EO satellite that's on the top of an Electron, it's a warhead or something. You know what I mean? Like when push comes to shove, shit's gonna get ugly.
I think, I mean, I 100% understand. And I am not trying to downplay that at all. And I think it is interesting, because when you hear Secretary of War and you hear the things that Pete Hegseth are involved in and the conversations he's involved in, and now he's at Rocket Lab headquarters, I can completely understand the pause that as an investor, somebody might be sitting here and thinking at the moment, in what I've seen in every conversation that we've had the privilege of having, it's always been about defense. And even the SDA is about defense and making sure the contracts that we've received are about defense and making sure that we're able to intercept missiles before they hit the United States and or our allies. So until we have the opportunity to me at least, until we have the opportunity to have that conversation and actually ask, you know, point blank, is this going to turn into an offensive sort of defense, or is it strictly defense? I think to me, I'm still, holding the fact that it's about the Golden Dome. It's about making sure that you have a joint command center with the SDA Tranche 2 transport layer, and making sure that we're protecting all of our allies and ourselves against adversaries. And to me, that's where I'm at. I can sleep well at night, at least telling myself that. Until I have that conversation, I don't want to jump conclusions. But I agree with you. There is a conversation to be had that at what point do you lose control due to the amount of board seats that switch over, to the amount of shareholder votes that switch over, to the amount of other people where, hey, you scratch our back here, we'll scratch your back there. Conversation sort of have. I understand exactly where you're coming from, Scott. Is this a slippery slope? I feel like is what you're. I'm going to ask that question. Are you asking, is this a slippery slope? Lead to, like you're stating, something coming from a defensive perspective now going to an offensive, and I completely hear your point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Peter hasn't really given us any reason yet to doubt him, and like I'm okay with the SDA work, and we'll just keep watching. But yeah, nothing so far has really gotten to the point where I'd be upset about it or have to rethink things to me.
Yeah, and I'm in that camp as well. Like, I don't want to just come across as like a big Debbie Downer. Like, of course, one side of me is like, yeah, here comes some massive contracts, and that's going to be really good for the share price. But like, and to kind of like borderline excuse myself, like with Black Sky, for example, I wasn't like marrying the company, whereas like for that, it was just like, hey, this company's priced for bankruptcy, and I see a 2x, so I felt comfortable with that, just making the money. But with Rocket Lab, it's almost like the investment is a vote of confidence to a degree, where it's like, even if Rocket Lab were to have gone to zero, I mean, it's far from that now, obviously, at least I could have kind of been like, well, at least I was part of that movement of trying to push that space agenda, right? But then, yeah, like we're kind of talking, it's like it does kind of get slippery. And Redwire is a great example, except like especially with this Pete guy, because Redwire, they bought the whole drone section, like that drone segment, and I was kind of like, I don't know. And Pete Hegseth was the guy who was just like, American drone dominance, and he had this whole video about that. I'm sitting there like, well, this is probably good for Redwire, the stock, but also like, yeah, like just there's that ugly side of it. It's like, well, what do the drones ultimately do? Well, they, fill in the blanks. I don't need to like, be too explicit, but it's just, I don't know, interesting to think about. And like you guys are saying too, it's like, I'm sure that everybody on board at Rocket Lab is like, hey, yeah, let's let those guys do the ugly stuff, and we'll kind of keep our hands clean. Hopefully that's what's happening.
Yeah, and if Rocket Lab would go into like warheads and stuff, like it will not happen from one day to, like we will, because that's a whole department, that's a whole other production line, whole other engineers. So I mean, currently Rocket Lab manufactures satellites, and the only way to use them offensively is to throw them at someone. They transmit radio waves and have optical lasers, and because I see that some people in the comment is like, you can't, it's so amateur to differentiate between defensive and offensive. But I'm like, it is really like they don't harm anybody, like that they're up there, like you have to, yeah. And when we go into like if they would procure warheads and stuff like this and start producing them, that would not happen. Like that we will have time to exit the stock. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me see where we were. All right. So then the next one that we should take up is Ars Technica's annual ranking of US rocket companies. And Rocket Lab is the third rocket company with no change 2 years in a row. The only change was that Blue Origin went from number 4 to +2, and ULA went from +2 to -2. But Rocket Lab is still the third I don't know, the best or most relevant rocket company in the US according to Ars Technica. What do you guys think about this ranking, and would you have done it differently?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because obviously Rocket Lab has launched way more than Blue, but at the same time, I kind of understand what he's saying with the kind of capability that New Glenn has, where, you know, one launch of it is like more than all those Electrons. And it was kind of just the year of Blue. Like they kind of demonstrated finally that they're for real. They had that landing on the drone ship. So I'm okay with the rankings, and I think it, given the amount of funding Rocket Lab is working with on Neutron compared to the amount of money being thrown at New Glenn and Starship, I think having Rocket Lab at number 3 is still pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a random ranking to me. Doesn't equate to the efforts that the team has put in, and to me, I think the big show will be 2026, and I'm sure we'll show up as number 2, if not number 1, depending on how Neutron shows up. So,
cool. All right. So now the next piece of news is more like a food for thought. So in the All In podcast, I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast. They also had an annual predictions show. And Chamath Palihapitiya, I don't know, probably butchered his name.
you did great.
So
You did great. Yeah.
Thank you. So he's a close friend of Elon. He has obviously connections to many places, and he said that he thinks there will not be a SpaceX IPO, and instead Tesla is going to reverse merge with SpaceX, and Elon will consolidate his power over these two companies. Now, in my price prediction for Rocket Lab, a big part of that is building on SpaceX IPO and the hype and halo effect that is going to give to other stocks. So obviously, if the IPO would not happen, I haven't been able to think through, this is quite recent news, how that would affect, but I don't think that would be as good for us as just a direct SpaceX IPO. So what do you guys think about this prediction? Do you guys think that they're how likely is it?
I'm no longer a huge fan of Chamath. Is he that close with Elon's? I thought Friedberger was anyway. I don't know. To me, it doesn't make as much sense as an IPO. I feel like Elon kind of said, didn't he say they were going to IPO?
I thought he confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah. He did.
If I had to bet, my money would still be on an IPO, which I do think would generate more hype for the space industry and SpaceX as well, specifically than merging with Tesla. Or I guess it would be like a holding company, but those two businesses just seem still so. I don't see a lot of great flywheel effects by combining them or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It might be. I don't know. I don't know if Elon necessarily wants to IPO. If it's more appeasing the people that have helped him along the way. So you think about it. He's gotten help from Google. He's gotten help from so many disparate sources, from capital infusions into SpaceX, that I don't. The way I'm looking at this is why would Elon IPO? That is potentially giving him less control of the company. And I don't see another reason why he would need money other than getting to Mars. The last I heard, Mars was really his biggest endeavor, but maybe it is a point where he can then focus on Neuralink and maybe the Boring Company and some other things if he does take the cash out of it. I'm not 100% certain. Or
what
he might just keep all of it in. So sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry. He kind of said that it was for data centers in space, raising money for building out data centers in space. So I don't know. I just got to take him on his word at that, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah.
He also has mentioned in the past, and I don't understand in what capacity, but he mentioned something to the tune of like wanting Tesla investors to like have first access or be able to benefit before with SpaceX. But I don't understand how that could be a vehicle at all.
Bill Ackman did a really good tweet about it. He was giving ideas to Elon that they could make like a special SAR, which is like what was it, like a special?
I thought it was a SPAC.
No, like they could like I think Matt, maybe you remember Palantir did this once, that instead of giving stock-based compensation, they made like this specially allocated shares that they get like cash paid out if the stock price hits a certain point to the employees. So that it's like a stock-based compensation, but without the dilution. And it had a name. I think it was like, was it SAR or?
Yeah, I mean, it was dilutive, but it was basically if you hit certain milestones, then you could get more or less share-based compensation depending on it.
Yeah, but that's like something that the public could buy into, or like a Tesla investor.
No, like it would be like a set aside of certain shares that only Tesla investors can buy, and then they become like available at IPO. So like if you can, it sounded like it, but it was like Bill Ackman pitching the idea to Elon Musk. So it wasn't coming from, but I saw that they had like I think Elon Musk reacted to it something, but that was one way to do it. For example, that it's like buying employee options, but the employee is like the Tesla stockholder.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard him say before that he'd like to be able to, give his Tesla supporters a chance to invest in SpaceX, but maybe they'll do that somehow. I do think until I hear otherwise, my money's still on the IPO.
Yeah. I have a question, guys, because like how when Amazon came on like they IPO'd, I think they IPO'd at $20 million valuation or something, and then if you bought at that time, like you could ride it as a public all the way to, I don't know, $3 to $4 trillion, right? And same is true for Palantir, same is true for Rocket Lab. But do you think when SpaceX IPOs at like $1.5 trillion, it feels like for me almost like there's no like meat left on the bone to get for the average private investor or like I get a bit like I wish that they were available for the public like at $100 billion valuation or do you think that
feels to me that there's like a bit less value in that the company's not as early stage anymore as like some other IPOs, and it's been around a long time, and for the valuation to rise so much, a lot of that value has been kind of hogged by private investors. But if you think big, if you think long term, I know we're not used to talking in the trillions of market caps, but looking in the future, like things continue to grow, and it is possible to go from there, but it's a big number for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one thing that I don't understand about this IPO, I mean, I guess there's two things really, but I mean, one of them is the recent commentary about like building, he mentioned we're building 1,000 starships, and he's actually like, no, it's 10,000. But I don't understand why you need so many starships. Like Rocket Lab's talking about building like 4 neutrons at any given time. Obviously that'll expand later, but I'm like, what do we even need that many starships for? That just seems very like you're gonna, just burn through a lot of cash. And I know like send it to Mars and stuff too, but then I'm like, well,
it's the Mars window every 2 years. So if you're going to wait 2 years, you need to send a fleet of like 1,000 ships. So if you take him at his word, but
like if it's every 2 years, does that infer that we're sending like 20,000 starships? Because by the time we're scaled up to that, well, we're assuming that we could be sending them back and forth. And I don't know, it seems like overkill. And what was the other thing that I was going to bring up? Just about like, just sending everything to Mars. Like, I don't know how lucrative that's going to be. Like for the SpaceX side, like where's the revenue coming from that? It's not. It's literally just
No, yeah.
It's like kind of like if I think we kind of gave Rocket Lab a pass of like, yeah, do the Venus mission because that's going to be sick, and like maybe not so much at this point because we got the moon under our belt, we've got Mars under our belt, but I mean, even still, I'd argue like, yeah, even if it is just like a company paid for mission, which is now partially Peter Beck paid for as well, but it's just good to have that, you know, that just for bragging rights going to Venus as well. But then it's just like if Rocket Lab was like, hey, for every 2 neutrons that we make, one's just getting thrown away, like in not thrown away, but like kind of thrown away, you know what I mean? Like not generating revenue, but literally doing kind of the opposite. It'd kind of be like, well, what's the appeal there? Like, it just seems like, I don't know.
That's why I always thought it wouldn't go public.
Yeah, yeah. Because
But now
like a pushback from that, right? Like from investors of like, stop throwing your ships away, keep them all here, and do only the stuff that, you know, increases SpaceX's market cap.
You know this Shark Tank company called Bombas, like the sock, one of the biggest Shark Tank companies, and their pitch was that each time you buy a sock from them, like they donate one to homeless people, and then this Mr. Wonderful Canadian investor, he was like, I don't get this, like I can't invest into this because you're donating away like your profit, you know. Or you need to be like double as expensive as other companies, and somehow still with this social mission, the company became like one of the best. I think they sold like more than $1 billion worth of socks. And what I'm trying to say is I think that the Mars mission for SpaceX is like the donating away the sock, and I think that it's like the Starlink and the space data center that is going to be like gushing in money, and then it's understood that like this is part of SpaceX's mission to build up a Mars colony, and that will be done with or without return on investment. I that's the only way I can make sense out of it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be a crime. Like you have a fiduciary duty as a board member of a company or as a shareholder to like create return for like you're not allowed to like donate away the money of the company, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like lately he's much more fixated on these data centers than on Mars. So it makes me wonder, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool. So the last piece of news that I have for Rocket Lab is it seems to be a new bill coming into Congress that is killing the Mars sample return mission. And I haven't been able to verify this because there is $750 million that was already approved congressionally for the Mars telecommunication orbiter. And I don't think that this takes that away. I don't know if you guys maybe were able to do more research on this. I think this like specifically is trying to take away the sample return part of the Mars mission.
Yeah, the MTO is still good here. It's the sample return that's appears to be pretty much dead from what I've read.
Yeah, it's not through the House and Congress, right? It's just it looks like it's going to go through.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but not really surprising because like by the time Rocket Lab would be sending stuff there, like we're probably on track to be sending humans, and might as well just get some guy to walk over there than have to worry about the arm malfunctioning or whatever in between.
Maybe. Some people, I don't know. Sometimes I think we're not as close to sending humans to Mars as some people think, but I don't know. Just ever since we saw that leopard spots rock and we've heard the news about the findings on it and how likely it is that that's like signs of ancient microbial life, it's just so frustrating. It's just like, no, we're not going to get the samples. We drilled them. We put them in nice canisters. They're sitting there. We're just going to leave them, though.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is I saw videos on it. They're fantastic to fall asleep to. There is like certain space YouTube channels. It's like before you go to bed, they have like this very deep voice and they explain space science to you. And apparently we have been here before where scientists have said like, okay, we found stuff on Mars and the only explanation is life, and it's probably life. And then it goes like a year, and then some other group of scientists find another explanation, and then it becomes, false alarm.
Yeah, I know we've heard that in like the Bill Clinton announcement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a cliche, but I do think like but this time it's different. Like,
yeah, I mean, me too. Like when I listen to the stuff that they said, I'm like, yeah, it sounds very much like it's life. But I mean, what do we know? What do we know? Yeah. All right, guys. So now in closing, I'm very curious. I started to see a lot of posts about like, I'm fully exiting Rocket Lab. Like I bought at $4 and where we're at is crazy. It's so overvalued. And, you know, like I'm selling, and I have nothing against people trimming, selling. And, but I'm just curious because I feel like, yes, Rocket Lab is overvalued at the price where we are, especially if you're looking at backward-looking indicators. But if you look at the future opportunity of Rocket Lab, and especially, you know, the things like that we discussed, you know, that the Secretary of War comes around and promises much bigger, more reliable contracts, and, you know, Neutron flying, and the SpaceX IPO, like I'm quite certain that we're going to end the year over $100 and probably around $150. But I'm curious, like, what is your guys' viewpoint? Like, are you selling, trimming? Do you think we're overvalued? Not over, like, how should we think with Rocket Lab valuation? Because we are not around $4 anymore with our 7 price to sales ratio or whatever it was when we first started looking at this company.
I'll start because I actually trimmed this past week. I think it was in like the high 80s. Not a lot, but it's I saw that Adam actually parted ways with 32% of his position. So I was like,
yeah.
Well, and Frank Klein, I think it was 8% that he parted with. And yeah, I don't know. It's like I saw that and I was like, I'll just lighten the load a little bit more. Again, like I say every time, it's more just to raise cash than anything. I haven't lost any conviction or anything like that. But yeah, just a light rebalancing just due to it being, I think, the highest price of sales in the whole portfolio. I'm not sure what Tesla's is, but Tesla's kind of on autopilot at this point too. Actually, I did trim
You
Tesla.
own Tesla, Scott? Sorry to.
Yeah, I did trim a little bit Tesla a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, around 450. And again, just to raise cash. The whole portfolio is kind of elevated, and I need a bit of. I like to have that percentage of cash on the side. So that's all it was. What do you guys think about it?
I've been very torn on this topic lately. When I started investing in Rocket Lab and built it into like basically the company that I'd put more money into than any other company, you know, it was probably like 10% of my portfolio or 15, maybe 20. And now it's like well over 50. And at the same time, I wasn't planning to sell anymore, but I was seeing it hit the high 80s this week. And I was like, you know, just from a security point of view and having kids and having a family, like, it's like, is it reasonable to just trim a little more just for safety's sake and diversification? But I don't want to because I love the company. So this is my current struggle right now that I've been thinking about. And as Vince said, like, I do think if a SpaceX IPO happens, things could get a little crazy in the space industry. So plus we have Neutron launch coming up. It's a tough decision.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
How about you guys?
I don't know if I'm back yet. My headphone keeps coming in and out of there we go. Yeah, my headphones keep coming out of for some reason, so I might need to order a new pair. But I think it's up to everybody's discretion, right? I mean, I've been buying this company for what I anticipate they're going to be able to do by 2035, and I'm not smart enough to understand, you know, taking a large cut when would be the appropriate time to back in. if at all. The company may or may not, depending on upcoming catalysts, not give you the prices that we're seeing today, or it could. It could go back down to $40. We just saw it there literally less than 3 months ago. So to me, I think it's very dependent upon somebody's goals, and I think you have two really intelligent people that have their perspectives and their objectives, right? Which is they have a family and they need to consider that aspect of it. And I'm sitting here 34, not a very expensive house, just playing Monopoly. And so to me, my perspective is I just don't plan on selling until the company gives me a reason to, and they haven't yet. They've only been executing. And so, say that there is some sort of drastic, turn left or turn right in the company's purpose or what they're trying to do. I just don't foresee it. If I need the capital, I'll sell a covered call here or there. That's made me more than my cost basis back in probably over the course of the last 2 to 3 years, writing covered calls on the company, super far out of the money even, still being able to pocket a good amount of money. So I don't know. I personally am staying the course. To me, if it drops even by 50% of where it is today, I'm still, it's not going to change my, what am I trying to say? I had this conversation with Vince when we were in Virginia Beach in September. It was like, even if it drops by 50% from here, it's not going to change my lifestyle. It's not going to change. But if it does go up to being a multi-$100 billion company like I think it can, that's life-changing. And so to me, I would rather make sure that I stay along for the ride. And I'm not smart enough to be able to buy in and out of stocks. I've proven that over the years. I'll sell something and I'm like a squirrel. I see something else that's shiny. And I move on to it, and I forget about that company. Next thing you know, it dropped 50% and went back up. So to me, I'd rather just keep my money put, and if I need to, sell a little bit of covered calls, and that's just the way I'm working. So for anybody that has an objective and they hit it, say you hit a number like you needed 2 million or something like that, and you're like, that's what I need to keep me and my family secure for the rest of our lives, and I'd rather take that suit, dude. Take your bag and go with it, man. I'm not gonna get after you, but this is the game I'm playing, and not saying that you need to follow me or not. But that's me, and I'll probably buy some more on the 15th.
If I could just share like one more thought I've been having lately, and it's that all money is not kind of equally valuable to me. And I know that's weird, but like, to me, going from like 0 to 1 or 3 million is like absolutely life-changing. You're financially secure. You're good. Then adding a few more million on top of that, like the millions from say 3 to 6 is not going to change my life. Like, is it not, it doesn't, like, am I going to risk the financial security and all that for what am I going to do with it type thing? But
it's so funny. It's the opposite of what Matt was saying.
Yeah, I guess. But
no,
honestly,
exactly,
I'm a simple guy with simple tastes.
It's exactly what Dave was saying.
No, because you said that for you, if you stay in Rocket Lab, because I understand Dave, like he's saying, I have a family now and I reached a certain amount of like security. And then if the stock doubles, it doesn't give more security because you already have enough. But if it halves, it takes away security. So in Dave's mind, it's better to trim and be secure even if the stock goes up after. And Matt, you were saying that for you, it's the opposite, that you don't care if it goes to 0 because it doesn't change your lifestyle. But if it doubles or triples or becomes the company you think, like you're willing to wait for that. And it's a very interesting difference in viewpoint, and it's each to their own. I completely understand Dave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't say go to 0. I said 50%. I don't know if I'd be able to handle it going to 0. But no, I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I think I'm starting off at a slightly different spot, And so for me, another losing $1 million, yes, would I be upset about it? Yes, who wouldn't? But it's not going to change my lifestyle, and I think that's kind of where Dave was saying, right? Going from, a couple million to 1 less million, it's not going to hurt that bad. But going from 2 million to 5 million, that's pretty cool. So that's why I'm kind of looking at it. If this gets me across the 8-figure mark, then this is my horse, and I think it is. And so I'm not going to say this is going to be an 8-figure position for me, but it definitely will cut down the amount of work that the other companies that I have in my portfolio will have to do, because I think this is really the horse that will take me there.
Yeah. Okay, I also just want to throw in my 2 cents here, because as you guys know, I had this whole debacle with the covered calls and on Rocket Lab, and my logic on the covered calls was that even if they went in the money, I will always get a pullback on the stock, and I will be able to like up the roll the options and get back into the game. I just never thought that the stock would like 10x in no time, and it basically it didn't happen. So it's to Matt's point of like if you trim your stock, like you might not get another good entry point again. And so the way I came out of the cover calls was actually I was speaking to my dad, and the portfolio is together with my dad, and I told him, look, I think that there's so many good catalysts for Rocket Lab, and I think that the price is high. And I told him that, look, I need you to give me an honest answer. So if we buy back all the call options that we can, what would piss you off? If we buy it back and the stock price is half in 3 months from now, or a year from now, or would it piss you off more that the stock price is double or triple and we missed out on it? And I said, keep in mind that the goal is to own this like 5-10 years, and in 10 years I'm sure that the company is going to be worth way more. And then we were going a lot back and forth with my dad, and then we actually came to the point that mentally and physically it would be so much work for us to miss, if we don't buy it back and Rocket Lab goes to 120, that would be a worse scenario than buying back at 50 and the stock being at 30 a few months from now, because then you can always add to your position and do other things to increase your ownership. So I think it's everyone needs to do their risk assessment and their goals and everything. And I would not be surprised if the stock is $130 in 2 months, but I would also not be surprised if the stock is at $50 or $40 the next 3 months. I know that if it's at $40, I'm going to try to see how I can add to my position. And if it's $140, I'm going to be celebrating. So I'm well positioned for both, But if your answer is that if the stock goes to $40 from 90, it's going to wipe out your portfolio because you're leveraged to the roof, then it's probably time to trim.
Yeah. What I will say is I think not the time for leverage for anyone.
Yeah, that I definitely agree.
So.
Cool. And yeah, and it's so funny. Somebody wrote ask the Palantir investors who bounced early how they feel about it. And such a good story, the Palantir one, because I remember when Alex Karp was making big sales at $20 and then at $30, and then the CTO made a big sale, I think around $40, and the stock is still at 200. And I saw so many creators and people that I look up to who was like, oh my God, Palantir reached. The first ones I saw was at we went from $6 to $14, and I think Chris Patel was like, it's way overvalued, I'm out, and you guys will thank me for telling you to get out of Palantir, and I think it's one of his biggest regrets today. And then at each point, at $20, $30, $40, I saw different creators going out, and I think at $80, Couch Investor was like, I sold 100% of my position because it's indefensible at this point. So I think on Rocket Lab, you're going to see this as we go up, you're going to see people jumping ship, and that's normal. You don't have to hate them, and make sure that you make your decision for your own due diligence and your own thoughts, and not because you see other creators, jumping out or buying. That's what triggers your own decision making.
At the same time, I don't know Chris Patel very well, aside from selling Palantir early, but At the same time, I hope he isn't kicking himself. I hope he's not looking at this like, oh shit, I should have held the company till it's a price to sales of whatever Palantir's at anymore. And same thing with Rocket Lab. Like, yeah, sure. If I would have known that Rocket Lab would trade at a price to sales of 80, I would have held on a lot longer. But when most other companies trade with a price to sales of between 1 and 5, I'm not going to like look at Rocket Lab as the lesson and be like, oh shit, next time I'm going to wait till it's a price to sales of 80. Like I have no regrets. Like, sure, if you look in hindsight, it's like I trimmed at the wrong time, but I still don't see it that way. Plus, it's like the money that I trimmed with Rocket Lab, I made money elsewhere too. So I don't know.
And you stated something earlier, Scott, that I think people might latch on to be like, well, Adams, and this is to play devil's advocate, right? You're like, Adam Spice sold over 30%, Frank Klein sold 7-8%. You don't know what their future yet to award options, share-based compensation are.
True.
And so they could be sitting there being like, oh shit, well, based off of the deal that I signed in 2020, 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5 years previous, these are the awards that are yet to come through the pipeline. They could be looking at, more money because the stock is appreciated so much from $4 as we were 2-3 years ago to where it is today. That's a 20x comparatively to where we were at the bottom of 2023. And it's like, well, they could have been awarded hundreds of thousands, if not millions of shares at those prices. And so when those actually come through, and I'm not saying that they are, but I'm just saying if that's possible, I know how some of these companies work. The majority of their money is not coming from salary. And then I'd probably be hard pressed to say that Peter actually earns a very large salary at all. A lot of his money probably comes from share-based compensation and ownership in the company itself. And so that could honestly be it. They know that, hey, it's the end of the year, things are coming up, and I'm going to be getting a large tranche of capital coming through because the stock has performed so well that I need to get prepared. I don't have, you have to pay taxes on that generally. So I don't know if that's the answer, but to give somebody an opposite point to kind of think about that, that could be a reason as well.
Fair point.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to illustrate the point that you can have the stock price going up with the execs keep selling at certain points. Like we saw it with, I personally saw it with Palantir, and it doesn't mean that they are market timing geniuses. I mean, they might just have girlfriends who need plastic surgery or new houses or boats or expensive weddings, and it is what it is. Cool, guys.
Take it with you, as they say.
Exactly. I think this was an awesome episode. Very good viewpoints in the end. I hope the audience enjoyed it. And may your sky stay blue and stock stay green next year and next week.
This year.
I'm gonna exactly this year. Ooh, and the baby starts crying right at you.
It's our cue.
I need to run. So thank you so much, guys. See you all next week. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah.